Congress is skeptical about the bill and worried it may fail. That's what I want to share with you right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now over the last couple days, it has been very busy with lawmakers putting the final touches on the debt ceiling deal that was negotiated out between the president and, of course, Kevin McCarthy. In fact, late yesterday afternoon, we finally got the final text of the bill, coming in at just under 100 pages long. Well, throughout the day yesterday, we also heard from a variety of lawmakers, including Pramila Jayapal, who is the chair of the Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives, as well as some conservative lawmakers who are both suggesting we don't know if we have the support within our respective parties to actually get this bill through. So we even heard that out of Pramila Jayapal, who was suggesting, remember, the Progressive Caucus is made up of over 100 members in the House of Representatives, and she was suggesting they may not have the support to actually get this thing through the House of Representatives. Now, we also heard out of Mitch McConnell where he was suggesting conservative senators should also get on board with this thing and actually support it because they're running out of time. Now, here's what's interesting about this. I mentioned this the other day, which is on Friday. So just a few days ago, we heard out of the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, who indicated they have until June 5th, which, by the way, is next Monday, okay? That is next Monday. It is a Monday, and that is the day in which the Treasury will be completely out of cash, according to Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, okay? That is the day. Now, they only have a little bit more time to actually get this deal through and actually pass it through Congress. Now, they're setting up some votes here later on this week in the House of Representatives as well as the Senate as well, and to actually get this thing through. So they're going to be right down to the wire on this thing to actually get it passed through the House, passed through the Senate, as well as sent over to the president to get his signature on it to turn it into law before the actual default date or the time in which the Treasury would be completely out of cash. So they have literally run this thing right down to the end of the wire here, and that is where we are currently sitting right now. However, I want to throw this out there really quickly. We've seen this before with other bills, packages, and proposals that come out of Congress where they come out and then, they introduce or they release the final text of the bill, and then we hear from all kinds of lawmakers that say, oh, I don't know about this one. I'm not sure if we're going to have the support for it. I'm not sure if we're going to get the votes for this thing. And then sure enough, they hold the votes, and then sure enough, it passes right on through, right? So it's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of drama about this thing right now, but they've literally milked this thing out until the very end, according to Janet Yellen anyway, as far as the potential date in which the Treasury would be completely out of cash, which is a week away, right? So it's a week away. Monday is the big old day, according to Janet Yellen. So anyway, this is what I want to bring to your attention really quickly here because I've been seeing this in the headlines a number of times recently, and yesterday, like I said, we heard from many of these lawmakers that are coming out suggesting, well, some of the changes that were negotiated out, like, for example, the changes to the work requirements for SNAP beneficiaries. Now, I talked about this briefly yesterday, and I told you in that video yesterday that I wanted to wait until we get the final text of this bill as we got yesterday, which, by the way, like I said, about 100 pages long. I wanted to wait until we got the final text of this before I made a dedicated video talking about the work requirements for SNAP benefits, just because I wanted to make sure that we saw everything clearly rather than just like hearsay saying, oh, this is what we heard was in it. Well, I want to see the final text and see what's actually in it, okay? Now, this thing could be brought up for negotiation yet again. Even though we look at it and think, oh, this is the final text, this is it, not necessarily. What happens if it goes to the House and it potentially fails? Or some lawmakers come up and say, I don't know about this. We need to make these amendments. And they say, hey, we're going to pack together and we're not going to vote for this thing unless we get this, and this changed on it, okay? So that is what they're suggesting there. So we will have to see what goes on here. The next few days are going to be very interesting. This week is going to be packed full of information. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and I guarantee you there will be a lot more drama about this. But this is what's going on here, and like I said, we're getting opposition from many different lawmakers throughout both sides everywhere that are really coming out suggesting this may not be the best deal in the world. And a lot of people are suggesting that, the president blew it and Kevin McCarthy blew it. Depends on who you listen to. We're hearing it from both sides. We're hearing it from everybody that says, oh, my representative, whoever is representing their side of the negotiation, as in the president for Democrats, obviously, and Kevin McCarthy for Republicans, obviously, right? So it depends on who you listen to. But like I said before in other videos, I take information from both sides because I want to understand the full story, right? I want to hear what everybody is saying rather than just getting a biased approach on all this. I read everything out there because I want to understand what is really going on with all of these negotiations, the bills, the packages, things like that. Well, depends on what you read out there, but there's a lot of people that are very upset with the president for caving in on work requirements for SNAP benefits, as in there was a little adjustment to it. It's not a huge adjustment, but it certainly is an adjustment to the work requirements for SNAP benefits, which, by the way, I will make a dedicated video talking about that, okay? Again, I kind of want to wait on that a little bit further here just to see, because I would not be shocked to see that dropped or repealed out of this. I wouldn't be shocked, okay? So let's just kind of hang tight here for a little bit longer until we start jumping to conclusions, because nothing is set in stone until it's actually passed through the House of Representatives, passed through the Senate, and then, of course, it's sent on to the president and gets a signature. Once he signs it, well, then we got to figure out all the details, right? But as of right now, just like many other bills and packages out there that we've seen, it's basically just in the text, okay? They can change any of that at any given point. So that's what some people are so upset about the president, or upset with the president about. Now, next, many people are upset with Kevin McCarthy as well, suggesting that he didn't push hard enough for other things like tax decreases and reduced spending on all kinds of different things. So again, you can see it from both sides here. A lot of people are just basically saying, I wanted my way. They're not all getting their way. And that was actually indicated yesterday by the president as well. And it was indicated previously by both sides, which is nobody's going to get everything they want. They made it very clear. This is not going to be a one-sided approach where, Democrats get everything, Republicans get everything. They made it very clear nobody is going to get everything what they want. It's going to be negotiation. And they said just a couple days ago as well, nobody's going to be happy with the ultimate result of this negotiation. Well, it sounds like that's what we're hearing right now. So we will have to see what happens here. Any delay, I mean like literally any delay to this bill could derail this whole thing and could potentially push us right up against. I mean, we are like right up against the deadline anyway, which is coming up, like I said, Monday of next week, so about a week out from right now. We're right up against that deadline. But if they have any delays on this thing, as in if it fails in either chamber, the House of Representatives or the Senate, we could be looking at some major issues here, okay? They got to work fast, according to this timeline that Janet Yellen has thrown out. Now, the next question is this timeline even accurate? Well, I was out, I don't know, what was it, 2-3 days ago or something like that, maybe 2 days ago, in a separate video talking about how the Treasury, according to them, just a few days ago, they had $49 billion left in their possession. Now, about a week before that, they had, what was the number on that? Something like $87 billion or something like that. So they're burning through cash very, very fast here. And as of just a few days ago, they had $49 billion left. Okay, so they're suggesting this is going to last us about one more week, a little bit more than a week, is about how much longer they have, according to what they're telling us. So this is what's going on out there. You can see very, very dramatic stuff here and what's going on. But like I said before in other videos, and I want to say this again really, really quickly, because a lot of times we can be, a little bit distracted by everything going on. Okay, we've never defaulted in this country, ever. Doesn't mean that we can't do it, which, by the way, let me clarify for just a second here. When I say default, it simply means the Treasury doesn't have enough money to pay the bills, okay? That's literally the same thing. Think of it for all of us on a personal level. If we have a mortgage or if we have a loan of some kind, let's just say it's an auto loan or it's a mortgage or some kind of loan, right? If we're borrowing money from somebody and we can no longer service that debt, as in we don't have any money, we can't service the debt, we default, right? What happens? Well, in the event of a mortgage, they foreclose on the home. They take the home back. In the event of a car, they repossess the car, right? Kind of the same thing. Well, basically, in this sense, the federal government, as in the Treasury, does not have enough money to pay the bills. So when we're talking about a default, we're saying, hey, the Treasury doesn't have any money, and if they default, it simply means they don't have the money to pay the bills. Therefore, it's going to be a bad thing, right? Let me give you another quick example. If we personally default on a loan, as in we can't pay a mortgage, we can't pay an auto loan, they foreclose on the home, they repossess the car, whatever happens to be, what does that do to our credit rating? It drops our credit score, right? Our credit score being like basically 0 to 850, right? We all know what our credit score, whatever it happens to be. Well, we basically say, well, if our credit score is sitting at, say, 700, for example, if we foreclose on a home or, get a car repossessed or something like that, it shows that, hey, maybe we don't have the credibility that we thought, therefore it drops our credit score. Same thing happens here in the United States. Right now, we have a AAA rating on basically our credibility, right? We have a AAA rating. That's pretty good. That's very, very good, in fact, right? Well, as a result of potentially defaulting here in this country, this would dramatically reduce our credit rating because people don't trust us anymore. They can't give us money and lend us money here in this country because they might think, we don't know. Those people in the United States, are they going to pay us back? You know what I mean? So basically, we lose our trust with people to lend us money here in the United States to basically continue servicing all of our debt. Does that kind of make sense? So the whole effects of a default here in this country would basically mean that our credit rating gets downgraded substantially because, we don't know if people can trust us anymore to pay them back with money that we're borrowing. And then as a result of that, there's a whole bunch of other effects as well. So that's basically what this whole default situation means. Now, there's a lot of different information being thrown around out there, like, $7 trillion would be wiped out of the economy. The stock market would plummet by, 50%, 70%, things like this. Huge, huge numbers out there. 7 million jobs would be lost. There's a lot of different things that are being thrown around. So these are all just estimations. Nobody really knows because this is uncharted territory. Nobody would really know what would happen in this event. However, the president has reassured us, and we've heard from other people out there, lawmakers that have suggested, don't worry, everybody, we're not going to default. And again, I also want to echo that as well and say the likelihood of us defaulting in this country is probably very, very slim. Now, obviously, it's still an option, right? We still could do it here in this country. Does it mean that we're going to? Not necessarily. Does it mean that it's a high-risk thing? Well, to be fair, considering we're getting as close as we are to the deadline, the risk is getting a little bit higher, right? But considering we've never been there and nobody wants to go there, that's a place that we don't want to go. The likelihood of this happening is probably very, very slim, but it's still an option that's on the table, okay? So it's something we still got to consider and recognize that, yep, this is something they could take us down if they wanted to. So we'll have to see here what happens. This is going to be a very, very influential and a very powerful week here to see what happens to go on with this negotiation, to see if they pass it through Congress. They would be very, uneducated. They would be very not smart, if that's the best way to say that, if they did not pass this thing. Now, is this the best deal in the world? Probably not. I'm not here to say, yes, it's the best deal in the world, or no, it's the worst deal in the world. We don't really know that. I think we all can probably agree it's probably not good, for the vast majority of people, right? It's probably not the best deal in the world, but it's probably not the worst deal in the world either, right? It's kind of right down the middle where, like they said, nobody's going to be happy with this thing. And that's probably where we're sitting right now. It's kind of one of these deals where it's like, it really serves nobody. It's not good, and it's not super bad either. It's just kind of like right there. It just is what it is, right? It kind of gets the deal done for like the next 2 years until early 2025, and then we go through this whole situation once again. So anyway, last couple days here have been very interesting. We have the final text here. We will have to see if they support this thing in Congress, if they pass it through the House, if they pass it through the Senate, what happens here going forward. Of course, I'll continue watching that very closely, but this is what they're now suggesting about it is lawmakers are saying, we don't really know if we can actually support this thing. We don't know if we have enough votes between our parties here to actually get this thing passed through Congress. Well, like other people have said before, let's vote on it. Let's see. Let's see where everybody stands right now. Let's get it out there. Let's get it into the public domain, which is when they vote, we can all see who voted for what and do they support it, right? So like they've said before, let's just vote on it. See what happens. The proof is right out there. So we'll have to see here what happens. Of course, I will continue to keep you posted. And again, more drama thrown down. And I guarantee you today, there's going to be a lot more things thrown out there. And of course, I'll keep you posted with anything that I find relevant that I need to bring to your attention. So please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day, take care, and catch you again later in the next video.